Hey everyone, we are getting a new map in the Cycle Frontier Season 2. In today's video, I want to go over everything we learned from the devs with their Season 2 announcement stream. There's so much amazing stuff getting added to the game, and I'm super hyped. I'll have a link in the description below for the full interview and announcement if you want to dive into full detail. It's about an hour long, so I'm going to give you more of a recap of everything, and there's a lot to dive into, so let's do it. Once again, we have the pleasure of meeting Jonathan, the executive producer, and Daze, the creative director of the Cycle Frontier. They start by giving a quick recap of Season 1, where everything that kind of went well and everything that didn't go so well. The Cycle Frontier had a lot of hype, and there was a lot of people playing it at the start, including streams like Shroud, but it was tough for them to see the cheaters take over Season 1 after all the effort the team put into making the game. They put together a dedicated anti-cheat team that continue to work with BattlEye. They're building their own anti-cheat internally. They added the cheater compensation, or the return of any lost gear to a banned cheater. And the cheater compensation thing is out now, and it's so nice to get your gear back anytime you've died to a cheater. It's not a real fix, but it's a welcome band-aid as they continue to refine the anti-cheat systems. You can really feel the passion from the team, and you can tell that they really want to continue to fight as hard as they can against these cheaters because they want to protect their game and they want us to keep enjoying playing it over the years to come. Do not give up on the Cycle Frontier. It's such an awesome game, and I'm sure that they're going to keep fighting to protect it. Okay, let's talk about Season 2. So the start date of Season 2 will be September 28th, which is a date that has been pushed back 2 weeks from its original date to iron out some things with the current live version of the game. Considering the large scope of the content being added for Season 2, they really wanted to get the content right and deliver an awesome experience. I'm totally fine with this. It's similar to how they decided to do a preseason prior to Season 1 to iron out some kinks before the launch. Those 2 weeks, however, between the end of Season 1 and the start of Season 2 are going to be filled with pre-wipe events, similar to Escape from Tarkov, which all kinds of unique changes to the games to spice things up for those 2 weeks and get excited for Season 2. The big announcement is the third map being added to the game, Theory's Island, which will be the most challenging map in the game and only unlocked after completing a certain point of the campaign missions. This is incredible news because by locking the new map in this manner, it is also actively deterring cheaters. Many cheaters will not want to bother with completing campaign missions every time they have to make a new account after being banned. I'm totally on board with it being locked behind the campaigns. I absolutely love it. I think it's going to make a big difference. I'm also digging the spooky vibes of the new map. I mean, half the time I play the Cycle, it feels almost like a horror game, so I think this is right in alignment with the mood that they're providing. Also, the new map is going to have an in-match activity, and they didn't want to spoil a lot about this, but rather let us figure it out on our own. But it definitely does relate directly to gear perks. So with this event, you'll be looking to get the best combination of perks and also the highest stats on those perks on your favorite items in the game. This is such a cool addition to the game. I absolutely love the in-game events that we get. I mean, everything from the small meteor showers to the big ones like Korolev drills. And now we've got another in-game event that's going to let us add perks to our gear. That is freaking nutty. We've also got some new campaign missions specific to Theory's Island, as well as changes to some of the previous campaign missions to make them a little bit more exciting. And as you might have guessed, we also have a new season pass with more unique items and a more balanced progression. A huge addition for Season 2 is Reconnect. One of the most requested features is finally here. This is such an important thing to be added to the game. I mean, you're playing a game where you lose everything if you die. There's not much worse than that than losing all your gear to a disconnect. Also, anti-cheat is still a #1 priority. We know it's always going to be. They don't give us too much detail on the specifics of what's being added, but they assured us that there's a lot being added, and it's going to make life for cheaters difficult and annoying and costly. Next, we have ping restriction. This will limit the ability to hop on servers outside of your intended region. It should also result in less laggy players on the servers and make life more difficult for cheaters. Now, if you have friends in different regions, do not worry. They did assure us that you can still squad up with friends from different regions wherever you are. The devs have always actively improved quality of life. They've been doing it week in and week out since the launch of the game, and we can expect more of that with the launch of Season 2 as well. Things like bulk buying gear from shops and bookmarking and tracking recipes and quarters upgrades. So a lot of unique quality of life improvements continuing to come our way. Next on the list, we have armor balancing. Once again, they continue to try and tweak armor balancing and bullet penetration. It's always been a hot topic, and we're going to continue to see some tweaking for Season 2. They want the epic and exotic armor to be a bit more impactful, so expect changes there to the armor and to the guns. The devs were cool enough to also give us some teasers about what to expect beyond Season 2, more like Season 3 and beyond. So very cool stuff. Tactical gear came up. Gear that actually caters to players' different playing styles. More along the lines of having those perks attached to gear. This sounds really, really cool and a unique way to make some interesting builds for your character. The Howler from the original Cycle is coming back, a flying mini-boss, and that'll be Season 3 is what we can expect. So friends of the old Cycle, rejoice, the Howler is coming back. Also expect more weapons to be added to the game, especially in the mid-progression areas, not just like exotics near the end, but more guns to choose from kind of in that mid-range, which is a lot of where we hang out, right? Also, more maps. It's not just going to be limited to 3 maps. They were talking about adding multiple new maps on top of what we already have. New creatures, new dungeons, and even a clan system. There is so much cool stuff being added to this game over the coming months. I'm so excited. So after all that, Jonathan and Daze were cool enough to take some questions from Twitch chat after this crazy announcement. I mean, is this the dev team that is awesome or what? Taking questions live in front of thousands of people is not something you see a lot these days. These guys are awesome, trust me. The first question they hit on was about adding a shooting range. So they said that they want it, they see how it's important to the game to really understand the recoil of your guns, considering you lose it when you die. So it's kind of at the idea stage right now. For Season 3, they did mention that they were looking hard at bringing more life to the station, and perhaps it would be added then. They also want to add a new faction down the road. Now, this is a huge undertaking and not something they're just going to throw together quickly, but they are thinking about it. It is in the idea stage, and they definitely want to add another faction down the road. Another question that came up was kill cam. Can we add a kill cam and see how we died? And I think right at this moment, it is not really on the radar. They're looking into it. It's more of like a cost-benefit ratio for them. Like how expensive is it going to be from a development perspective versus an actual value to the game? But they did allude to the fact that it would help players identify cheaters more easily and thus create more bans for those terrible, terrible losers. Get them out of here. Another big one was in-game trading. And this has been talked about and asked for a bunch. We have Discords out there that are doing old currency trading. There's also people doing real money transactions, which is literally fueling the cheating department. So there was a lot of hesitation there. They were considering doing something, but not player to player, but rather like a barter with an NPC. They're just worried about RMTs and the shortcutting of progression that it opens up if we add player to player trading. Quite frankly, I don't blame them, and I really don't think there's enough items in this game to really warrant an in-game system for trading, but that's just me. You know, if there was like 5,000 items like there is in some of these other games, then maybe it makes a lot more sense, but I think right now we're in a good spot without it. Another thing that was brought up was lean mechanics. So people were talking about leaning kind of like in PUBG or Escape from Tarkov, and apparently this was actually in a previous build of the game in one of the alphas. They said they took it out because it was like representing all kinds of problems and creating bugs, and ultimately never brought it back in. But I mean, I could see it creating a bigger skill gap, but probably not necessary. I personally would love to see over-the-shoulder looking over lean mechanics. When I'm running, I'd like to be able to look, 25 degrees left and right while I'm running to kind of see if I'm about to get shot from the side. One of the last things the devs talked about was reviving teammates. And so people have been kind of talking about this subject's been thrown around a lot. Some people have mentioned like maybe do a mini event in the server to revive a player and everyone in the server knows it's happening. So that kind of came up. I think what they were kind of leaning towards more so than anything was that if a player dies and they're in a party or a group, when they rejoin the game, they're guaranteed to be put on the same server as their squad. That's a simple and easy way to kind of rejoin squads together after they've died. Man, there was so much good stuff in this announcement. It kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I'm so excited for the future of this game. You have no idea. Let me know your thoughts about all this juicy information down below in the comments. And don't forget to drop a sub for more Cycle Frontier content. And I'll catch you in the next one.